In my 25-year career as a designer, I've asked the same question to thousands of people. If you could be anywhere in the world right now, where would you be? Now, if you're like most people, you would have imagined yourself somewhere in nature. Maybe on a sunny beach? Yeah. Maybe in a park or a beautiful garden setting. Maybe amongst the trees. Being in nature makes us feel fully alive. We can feel this sense of vitality and inspiration, and at the same time, clear, grounded, and connected. And science confirms spending time in nature helps our minds and our bodies to be at our best. Heart rates and blood pressure regulate. Our stress is reduced. Even our immune systems are activated. We thrive. But here's the problem. We are estimated in the US to be spending 90% of our time inside. And most of these places, the places that we live, work, learn, and heal, they're isolating us from nature. They're not helping us to thrive. These environments have actually created a vast divide from who we really are. Dynamic, sensory-rich, living beings that thrive on connection to the natural world. And this separation is harming us physically, mentally, and emotionally. These walls that we have created around us, they're closing us down and making us unhealthy. But I'm here to tell you of a different way. A way for us to thrive inside. Now, when I first started off as an interior designer, I was excited about the creativity and the stylish trends. But in college, I got a project I wasn't excited about. It was for a renovation of an older hospital. I dreaded it. And that same year, my father, who I'm pictured with here, he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. And so, as I designed for this project in school, I listened to his stories of being a patient within the walls of the clinics and the hospitals. And they were disheartening. He told me about getting lost a lot and the stress of the artificial glaring lights, you know the ones, and the lack of sunshine, and these lovely gardens that he could see, but they were off limits to patients. It was heartbreaking, and it was a tough year. But my father, he fortunately got better. And it was this experience that transformed me. It transformed me as a designer because I could see how the physical environment could have supported him when he needed it the most. So I went on to practice as a designer focused on healthcare for 15 years to understand how environments can help us to heal. And then I started designing beyond the walls of the hospital because I wanted to help people before they got sick. My path as a designer focused on health and well-being, it was as clear as daylight. And in fact, daylight was an essential part of the answer. So this profound innate connection we have to the natural world, it's called biophilia, and it translates as our passionate love of life. And the theory of biophilia is this: having spent the majority of our existence immersed in nature, our connection to the natural world is embedded, genetically and biologically encoded within us. And bringing nature's patterns into our spaces, biophilic design, supports and promotes this natural connection. But what do we really need to be doing to transform these harsh and cold spaces? The change is rooted in three things. And the first thing we need to do is we need to break down these walls and let nature in. So we need views, plants, sunlight, water. We need close and meaningful connection to nature every day. We need access to gardens and rooftop decks, plants, animals, water, flourishing in and around our buildings. This exposure to nature substantially increases our creativity, our productivity, even our happiness. We need to blur the lines between inside and out. And yes, daylight. We need sunshine to nourish our circadian rhythms of our body, which are regulating our sleep and wake cycle, our moods, even our children's development. Studies show we can increase test scores 10%, overall learning rates by 25%, by opening the blinds and letting in the light. And we need plants. We need plants in majestic forms like dynamic living walls, and in simple ways, like we can't forget the power of the potted plant. We need to say yes to life in our buildings. The second way to make this transformative change is our buildings can't just look good, they need to feel good. So many of these spaces have caused our bodies to close down, for our senses to be forgotten. So our buildings need to remind us that we're living. They need to reawaken our senses. We do this through things like natural materials, textures, patterns, sacred geometry, fractal patterns. And what the research tells us, when we experience these elements, we are able to actually process information faster, think clearer, and become restored. And it doesn't need to cost more. When I worked on this project, this rich, reclaimed conference room table was the same price as a standard table. We really can't afford to live any other way. And imagine these spaces for contemplation and reflection with sounds of nature nested within our cities. Our buildings need to remind us we're alive. The third way to make this transformative change is that our buildings need to remind us to care. We do that through the elements of fostering beauty in our space and also creating a sense of awe. And when we do this, places become memorable. They also become the places that we love. They connect us to each other, and they inspire us. Authentic beauty is an inspirational language that speaks to us beyond words. You know it when you feel it. It makes you feel comfortable and cared for, and it's warm and it's inviting. And the research shows us when we find beauty in place, we become emotionally attached to that place. We actually become more caring, even more compassionate. And to create this sense of awe and wonder and delight, like I learned on this project, is often expressed through art. Art that is embraced and informed by community and culture and place, considering our local artists with indigenous materials. These are the elements that lift the human spirit. And finally, these concepts aren't just for our new buildings. They can and need to be imagined in our many existing spaces. Like, who would have known this modern, vibrant office space was once a dark and run-down adult bookstore. This is transformation. We are nature. When we're surrounded by nature's patterns, we thrive. And we can get this feeling in the spaces that surround and support us. We don't have to wait for that vacation or that far-off destination. We need to bring these elements into our spaces every day. And you can start today. Adopt a new houseplant, care for it, open your windows, and plant seeds for better designs in your community. We need this now more than ever. And when we bring in the power and inspiration of nature into the places that we live, work, learn, and heal, we are happier, we are healthier, we are more connected, and we are better because of it. Thank you.